to be reassured that we are still here.
I know, right?
5,
And it
4,
actually
6.
all worked. A lot of times we get the link going and everything ready to go, and then we try to share it, and it just kind of laughs at us.
It was everything else today has been a crapshoot. So the fact that this is going well, I'm not going to ask too many questions. I'm just going to be thankful.
It's been a crapshoot today?
It's been a crapshoot. Everything's been like wonky. Just have those days like from the morning, like the moment you get started,
Yeah.
things are just wonky, and you're just like, is it going to get better? No, it just gets worse. I don't
It's
understand
crap.
how. I mean, we've had cell phones for the longest time now, but yet there's still like at least once a day I make a call and I can tell as soon as it starts ringing, this is going to suck because all I can hear is static on the ring. But then, like if I'm calling my dad, I feel like I need to at least get him on the phone because if not, he's going to think I called and hung up. Then he's going to call me because he's elderly and he's going to think I'm like something's wrong and I'm in a ditch. So I'm like I'm okay. So I got to have the static conversation and let him know I can't hear him and I'm going to call him back. I just don't know why. Just things just can't work.
I don't know. It's no matter how old you get, like you still have to check in.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
they'll
now
get
it's
worried.
different because now it's like I'm checking in on him to make sure
Well,
he's
that too.
okay for the
Yeah.
most part. He
Yeah.
thinks he's checking in on me, but it's actually the other way around.
Yeah. Well,
You know.
a
But
little of
anyway,
both,
thanks for all these
probably.
people checking in. We got lots of people checking in tonight. Television's Chris Williams.
Oh, we do. We do. I thought I
Yeah.
saw.
Good.
How is everybody? Brian asked. We
Okay.
got hello, guys, from Carrie. Hello,
Mhm.
hello.
Hello again, Carrie. Hope you're having a better day. I know your day started rough. We were on the Twitter bitching about the life earlier today. Paranormal Pie Man's in the house. Everything's good. Renee from
Woo!
Ohio.
Bird, bird, bird. The bird is the word. He loves
Yeah,
that song.
it's
The
a
Pie
great
Man.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a
who
good
doesn't?
one.
That's it. Kelly from Massachusetts up in the hizzy. Do people still say the hizzy? I do. I say shit nobody
I
says.
don't
I
think
don't
so.
care.
Do you know what word that drives me nuts these days? I don't know what it is, but vibes. Everybody's saying vibes. Oh, I gotta feel the vibes. We'll see
Yeah,
if we
vibes.
vibe. I just feel like back in the day when we're like 16 listening to 40 somethings say fat, it just sounded stupid. So I've never
Mm,
quite understood that.
yeah, I can get that. I can understand that. I thought you were going to go with moist. That always seems to be one that people just don't like across the board.
Yeah, that one's weird too. But I was thinking
Yeah.
more words that are kind of like popular right now for some
Oh
reason.
yeah. Like I hear aesthetic a lot.
Aesthetic?
Aesthetic aura. Hear that a lot. I like to use Riz a lot just because it's fun to say. I'm not fully
See,
sure
that's
what it
what I
means.
don't use either.
Yeah. I'm always talking about my Rhode Island Riz, because I got a little roadie Riz here. That's how we do it.
Rhodey Riz? That
Yeah, the
sounds like
roadie.
something you
It
should see
sounds
a
like
doctor for.
it definitely sounds like it needs some penicillin. What happened? I caught that damn roadie Riz. Dirty people in that little state. I learned something new about the little state of Rhode Island the other day
You
because
what?
I learned something new about my home state. I knew the originally our name was Rhode Island and Providence Plantations, and then they dropped the Providence Plantations part in the last like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But I was always confused because like why the hell is it called Rhode Island? Like we are secured to the damn mainland, like on three sides. We're the opposite. There's no island activity. We do have some small little islands like where some deer live and one or two little like recluse people, but for the most part we're
Yeah.
land, baby. We're landlocked. But it turns out that originally the Providence Plantations part was the land portion, and Rhode Island was an island off the coast. So they just kind of swept it around and made it all
Oh,
one big thing. So
huh.
the more you know.
Did you know that Maine used to be part of Massachusetts, even though they didn't touch?
No,
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah.
sounds like
They
they
got,
got married, but they never actually sealed the deal.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
They
Huh.
yeah, it's confusing because when you do genealogy, once you hit a certain year, I forget
Yeah.
what year it became two separate states. But after that, you have to go through Massachusetts, like a Massachusetts database sometimes for certain
Mm.
records because it used to be part of Massachusetts.
See, look at this
Mhm.
dropping the knowledge over here.
Every now
Geography.
and then, I'm like wicked smart.
Yeah, once in a while.
Most of a
So
while.
we got questions. We got some questions. Let's answer some questions because
Okay.
I'm with the pie man. The words start to make the brain hurt after a while. How do I enter the chat again to be able to talk to people like you? I think I don't know. Maybe I'm confused by the question. I feel like you've already done it.
Yeah, you're
You're here,
here.
John Hogan. Yeah, you're doing it. Other than that, I don't know. Yes. So shout out to Casa. You got it. I hope that things improve in your situation there with your medical issue. And still, is it Sittler? Sittler HQ asks, all the paranormal shows investigate seem to happen at night or in the dark. Have you ever had any experiences during the daylight hours? Here's a little fun fact. The whole idea it has to be done in the dark or at night is bullshit. Um, it's scarier, it's creepier. Maybe the idea of if something's trying to show itself, it's easier to see against a darkened background if it's trying to light
Yeah.
up or however they come across. Um, a lot of times with like ghost hunters originally when we were first on it, we did the investigations at night because the people work during the day, and so they're would be in something like residual activity happen time loop. We'd have a better chance of seeing it at night. However, on GHI, we actually did investigate one case during the day that was filmed for television, but because it was underground, it was in the dark, so nobody knew. But but now you do. But yeah, no, stuff happens day or night. I've had interaction out in the woods, walking during the day, seeing shadow activity, and it's around us 24/7. There's a lot of BS with midnight, the witching hour, 3 a.m., blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Spirit world's around 24/7, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, whether you're looking for it or not, whether the lights are on or not, doesn't matter.
It is quieter at night though. Like traffic dies down, you get less people walking around outside and less dogs barking. But like you said too, a lot of people are at work all day, so it isn't until after work hours or weekends that a lot of people have their
Mhm.
experiences. And then on our side of the house, a lot of people who do ghost hunting, they do it as a hobby and it's around their job. So most of them are going to end up going at night or on weekends as
You know
well.
when that whole thing's quiet,
What was that?
the whole everything is quieter at night doesn't work when you're in South America, specifically in Brazil, because we filmed a couple of cases there,
Yeah.
and they're just like partying. I mean, they were getting
Yeah.
down. By the way, the little Oppa Street Castle. I don't know who the hell did the research on where the little Oppa Street Castle was for GHI, but it was next to a nightclub,
Oh
like
no.
a hey, boom, chicka,
Yeah.
boom, chicka, boom, like nightclub.
See, that was Ybor City for us in Florida, and I feel like they said they had like a large Cuban community there. So the place that we were investigating was this old hospital that was completely abandoned, but it was next to a nightclub. So we're trying to work, and it was so loud you could make out all the words to the songs. So the production company actually called them and offered them money to turn the music down because we couldn't work.
Can't do it. Yeah.
No.
A couple of quick notes here, Brett. Stay tuned because near-death experiences are part of tonight's. We're not going to almost die and tell you about it, but we do have some stories about it. My own family, so I guess I can. But I do have a family member who died late at night, got up to have a slice of cheese out of the
No.
fridge. No, I really do, and she choked on it on my mom's side of the family.
Oh
Like airway obstruction, husband was asleep in the bedroom, and that was it. Cause of death was asphyxiation, and it's because she was eating cheese at night. It just blocked her throat. So,
holy crap.
but yeah, so I do think of that at 2 a.m. when I'm eating the cheese because the shredded cheese, like the pie man's doing it, is probably the better way to do it. Less chance of death and near death experience by cheese. That sounds like a grunge band we should have had in the '90s. NDE
I've been
by cheese.
I've been stuck on like pepper jack lately, but I was telling somebody recently how I used to be so cheese crazy when I was little. My aunt actually put like a block of it in my Halloween basket one year when I was little. I was probably like 3.
Mhm. Are
Cheese is
you a
good.
cheese snob?
No, no.
Oh, all right. Just
I like the
checking.
fancy stuff.
Check.
I like the cheap stuff. I as long as it's juicy, I'm happy. So
All right. I'm kind of bland. Like I like American cheese. I hit the Parmigiano, mozzarella, ricotta. But just a slice of American
no.
cheese makes me happy. Or the fresh
Yeah.
mozzarella. I'll eat that all day. Hello to
Mhm.
Mr. Tori and Cody. Thank you for saying hello, dropping in,
Hello.
dropping a ghost on the most. This is what we talk about. We talk about cheese and ghosts and weird things. And yes, Pie Man, definitely in the underwear. I'm down there in my boxers and my little robe because it's cold, so I wear the robe.
Maybe you should actually get dressed before you go to eat the cheese, just in case you have a repeat of your family member. You're not found in your boxers
No,
in front of the
no. I wanna no.
fridge
I wanna go out.
with
I
like
wanna go
shredded
out like
cheese everywhere.
I wanna go out like Marilyn Monroe in The Nip. Like he was found face up,
No,
dead on his floor, eating cheese.
no.
It's a hell of a way to go. People
Yeah,
be
I
going to
mean,
EVP sessions, but I can't answer questions because I'm
it's
choking.
definitely a way to go.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway,
Anyways,
welcome back, Renee. See, Renee had Wi-Fi problems. I'm telling you, this is shit's falling apart. Griff, no way. Blue cheese, not doing it.
oh no,
Not gonna do it. It's coming with mold. It's
no.
already got built-in penicillin.
Right? Yes, I had this conversation recently too. It just smells like feet. One
Yeah.
and two, you can see the mold on it. Like I get it. That's how cheese works, but I don't know. It's a little. I don't want to see it. I don't want.
No,
Ugh,
no,
that
nope.
that
Cheese
it
curds, nope.
smells so bad.
It was funny
So
too because
bad.
today when I get out of work today and I called Miss Television's Chris Williams here to discuss some topics for the show this evening, and
Mhm.
I had just picked up pizza and mozzarella sticks to bring home, and so when I called her, I was mid mozzarella stick because I thought it was going to ring more than it did. And I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm eating mozzarella sticks." She's like, "Of course you are."
When are you not having mozzarella
Yeah,
sticks?
it's my food of choice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've had goat cheese. And it was all right, and it's a little sour. Not my
it's
thing.
a little weird, but it's not bad.
Yeah, indeed,
All
indeed.
right.
Well,
Got
let's see. We did one
some.
more. Yeah, we got another question down there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, is it Sittler? Is that what we said?
yeah,
Sittler.
I almost read Hitler because I sometimes am dyslexic, and I'm like, that can't be right. My
No.
apologies.
All right. So Sittler asks, got some good full body apparition experiences you can share.
So for me, my whole journey starts with Shadow Figure, which I did see, head to toe when I was a kid, and then I didn't see anything for the longest time until St. Augustine Lighthouse, which is one of everyone's favorite cases I think that we've ever done. And
Yeah.
there I saw the woman in the top of the lighthouse, and from head to toe, she had a dress on, the curly hair, like you could see detail, and
Yeah.
that was, and for me that was like such an amazing moment because like, oh my god, like I wasn't crazy. Like that first one I saw, you always question. I'm like, oh, maybe I was seeing things. Was I tired? Whatever. But then to
Yeah,
see something else brings it back. You saw something. Was it on a case with GH?
I've seen two shadow figures. Weirdly, the first one that I had ever seen was the first year I started. It was only a few months in, so I think I started in June, and then this was in December, and it was St. Augustine, but it wasn't at the lighthouse, which was what was really weird.
Mhm.
So we spent the what was a week and a half there or something for the return of St. Augustine, and then the last night that I was in my hotel room, I was sitting in my room, all the lights were the TV, which was at the desk at the very end of my bed, and my computer screen, which was just to the left of the TV on the desk. So I was sitting up, I turned the TV off, and then I saw what looked like a 6 foot tall, like I always describe it, it looked like shooting targets, the silhouettes. It looked
Mhm.
exactly like that. There was clear edges. It walked from right to left, and when it walked in front of my computer screen, it completely blocked it out. So I'm pretty much like I'm pretty new at this point. So
Right.
I'm in my room like we're just gonna ignore that because at the time, you know it, I was the only female on the team, like on the
Right.
team and in the crew, only
You
girl.
want to be the scaredy cat.
No, I didn't want to call Stephen Tango and be like, I'm afraid of my room. So I didn't.
Right.
So what I did is I'm like, all right, we're just gonna ignore that. So I lied down, and as soon as I lay down, I noticed that the alarm clock's on. Do you remember with the alarm clocks? If the volume's turned all the way down, you'll get this high pitched hum from it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's the worst.
It's worse. So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, I haven't heard that all week, and I always use my phone, so that's weird. So I sit up, hit the pillow, the lamp turned on. And I remember
Hmm.
just lying there like, nope, nope,
Just don't react to it.
just nope. And
Right.
I don't know how I did it, but I just rolled over and I went to bed. Like, it didn't feel threatening, like, it
Yeah.
didn't look at me or charge me or even acknowledge me, it just but the thing is, it's the freaking Holiday Inn. It wasn't the
Oh,
lighthouse. Why the
right.
Holiday Inn? Did it come from the
Oh,
lighthouse?
they have a great rewards program for the dead at the Holiday Inn. That's how that
Is
works.
that what it
Yeah. A
is?
lot of dead hookers were there in the bed
Oh,
frame, and so
no.
sometimes you still see them. That's
Oh,
how it
no.
goes. That's how it goes.
No.
Hello to Laughing Donkey, and I am enjoying a pumpkin ale. Actually, I had a leftover pumpkin ale from the fall, so it's not a cider tonight. But I appreciate your diligence in knowing my drinks of choice. Indeed. Oh, let's talk about one of our topics tonight.
Okay.
And this actually, I just randomly when I came home today, and I was having a revelation of why isn't like Wi-Fi routers in every bathroom? Because that's when I do most of my tweeting, and the signal's always the worst. And so I would like to, in future endeavors, make sure I always have a Wi-Fi router located in or next to the bathroom, so toilet tweeting is done easier. But while I was there, I sent out a quick little thing on all my little formats on my little social media platform that just said "We are the Sims," and in my head I was thinking "We are the world." I was singing that, but I was thinking, remember the game The Sims? That was well, it's still pretty big. They still have expansion packs and new games and everything, where you're basically just controlling a character going through life. My character, funny enough, he worked part time at a day job and part time on television, and he never had time to take care of himself. And one day, getting out of the car, trying to get back to the house in time to sleep, he soiled himself and just fell asleep crying on the lawn. And then I realized this is becoming my own life, and it's sad, and I need to stop.
You regularly soil yourself on the lawn?
No, I stopped right shy of that. That's what we haven't done, but
That's
everything
good to
else
know. That's good to
we're
know.
doing. There's a lot of crying and no sleeping and trying to balance two
I was
jobs.
gonna say I might have to turn you in for a new friend. This is a little much.
No, yeah, no, that's the breaking point. Self
That's the breaking
soiling. Good
point.
to know. Good to know. No worries. No
Oh,
worries.
Dustin's out on the lawn
Uh,
again.
Mia, welcome. She was in the wrong chat for about 16 minutes. That's okay. You just missed us talking about cheese
Oh
and
no.
death. But
Yeah.
with Chris Williams, we were up late at Ohio State Reformatory. What last weekend? 2 weekends
Yeah.
ago? It
Yeah.
was like 30 something hours. Like before I got to bed when I finally got home, we stayed up all night after the Ohio State Reformatory event with
There's no point in going to bed.
PGG. No, we would have slept for like an hour and a half and had to go into the airport. So we went to the Waffle House instead.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was wonderful.
we weren't thinking. Like, I think when
No,
we booked everything, we weren't thinking because I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll leave early. It'll be good. Get home early." And then I didn't think about the time that we'd actually end, get back to the hotel, be able to repack.
yeah,
It's
that was
like
bad.
just everything. Well, we would have had like 2, 3 hours in the hotel at that point. It's
We got
just
back when we got back to the hotel. We celebrated the successful sellout event with boxes of was always Buzz Box. It was like
oh,
a Capri Sun box full of alcohol.
it was
It was
kind of not good.
it was kind of not good. No,
No.
and then we were like, "There's no time to sleep. Let's go to Waffle House." And it was snowing, and the chef, who was an interesting fellow, complimented Miss Williams on her fingernails.
Yeah, that was.
He
But
was
this is the part that, like, okay, girls. I am horrible at being a girl. I kind of grew up a tomboy, not like full blown tomboy, but I was a tomboy. So wearing dresses, you wouldn't catch it unless I absolutely had to, and I didn't start wearing them until I was like late 20s. Then I started kind of doing girly stuff and caring a bit more. Actually, a little earlier than that because I was working for a modeling agency for a little bit. But my nails, I'll do them and they'll look like shit, and then I just keep forgetting to take off the nail polish. So it was one of those deals where we're at this diner. I don't even know what time it was at that point, like 3 in the morning.
yeah.
And my nails were jacked up. And the guy's like, it's missing almost completely on one finger. It's chipped everywhere else. He's like, I really like your nails. I'm just looking at him like, thanks. What are you on? First of all, no guy ever says that. And two, they look like shit. But
Yeah, well,
what do I
I think
know?
he was friendly. He was friendly, and he made great eggs.
Breakfast, yeah, breakfast was good actually.
It was good. It was
It was
good. I
exactly
love
what
it.
I needed. My
Yes.
ass didn't need it, but I needed it.
Pie Man, there were no fights that night at the Waffle House. And hello to
No.
Paulie. I also wanted to mention Ed Strauss dropping the Pink Floyd lyric. Love that. Brings me back to high school.
Good.
Speaking of things that bring me back to high school, so let's get back to our topic
Okay.
simulation. simulation theory, right? The idea that all of this reality that we're in isn't real. Now, this goes beyond the idea of us being souls in human experiences. This goes beyond the spirituality of it. It's that like we're in some friggin' alien ant farm and that we're not even who we really are and we're just like characters. And I don't know who the hell's controlling me, but if there's a cheat code where I could get more money from mozzarella sticks and not have to work my ass off and lose sleep, that'd be great. It's probably up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start, like Contra. 30 guys.
Good, because if you will, I'll take you back to the front, even if you're going on the lawn.
Well, thank you. I won't go on the line. Although, as a boy, it was nice to write your name in the snow. That was always fun, but that was
Oh.
different. That was different.
Oh
Yep.
no.
Yeah. Well,
No.
life is what it is. But so
Yeah.
it's an interesting theory, right? That somehow this is in what we think it is. And there's so many different things about like different timelines and stuff that people talk about. Like it gets really strange and I love it. And neither of us claim to have the answers to any of this stuff because I don't think anyone
No.
could have the answers to any of this
No.
stuff. But it's
No.
interesting to discuss and to think about, and it ties into even some of our like ghostly stuff. Um, there's a question about shadow figures. Now, one, I don't think shadow figures are evil. Just I think a lot of times people get caught up in the old notion of like cowboy movies: black hat, bad guy; white hat, good guy. So we see a shadow, and we think it's evil, it's dark, it's this, it's that. But then conversely, and I mentioned this when we were investigating recently, so many times when I have asked Spirit on an EVP recorder, can you tell me what we look like to you? And their answer, if I get one, is light. So I wonder if we're just on opposite sides of something where we see them a lot of times as shadow and darkness, and they see us sometimes as light. A lot of the residual activity we see as full body apparitions, that we call them ladies in white or whatever, but it's really just because they're opaque, like they're not fully formed. It's kind of strange. And there are very rare stories of people showing up looking just like people that we see on the street today. But I came across this one theory. Actually, Mike Ricksecker put this in his book, in the shadow dimension, and the idea of the shadow people being kind of like rebellious hackers, like rebellious teenage shadow spirits that are screwing with the simulation. And the reason that they do it is for something known as loosh. And loosh is going to be like, okay, this was in Disney. This was the plot for Monsters Inc., the factory. They would go open the door, right? Go into the kid's room at night, scare the kid would scream, it would take the energy, and they bring it back to Power Monster City. The idea is that the shadow figures are perhaps doing the same thing, getting this loosh energy from us when they freak us out in the middle of the night. I never really put together the Monsters Inc. thing, I think, until now, but now I'm really questioning a lot more things.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Strange. But I
You
mean,
know
who's
what's
to
funny?
say?
There's all these theories bouncing around on there, and some of them just sound completely cuckoo. But then every now and then I'll be like, we are all living on a giant space rock.
Yes. On the
And
back of
then
a
it's
turtle.
like anything seems possible at that point. It's kind of crazy.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
like Mike Tuttle just says, having an open mind is a wonderful thing. I like to not know the answers to everything. That's why
Yeah.
I like the paranormal, because it would be so boring if all this life was just trying to pay bills and waiting to die. Like it doesn't make any
Yes.
sense. Where's the joy in
No.
this life now? It's like you
Yeah.
retire when all your parts don't work. When you get to put a
Yeah.
clamp on your pee pee because you're Lincoln, and you get to eat like mush down
What?
food because your teeth are all death. Like you get to retire and you're like your body's broken, you're done, you've given the best years of your life up, and now you're supposed to enjoy it, and now you have more money but you have no time left, and you have no ability. There's a great like
And
old thing I remember seeing, like when you're a kid you've got tons of time, but no money, and so you can't really do anything. And then you get older, time becomes shorter, and you get some money and you're trying to balance things out, and then you're old, time is less, and you got tons of money but your body's broken, so you can't do shit anymore. So the
yeah.
simulation is screwy, and I don't like it if that's the way it is. But so Shadow Man aside, came across this guy had a YouTube video. He was interviewed on a couple of different sites. He's on TikTok and everything else. This idea that we're able to tap into like think of like the matrix code that makes up this simulation, and they do so using a hallucinogenic. Surprise, surprise. Now, Chris Williams and I are not telling you to go do drugs. Let's just legal disclaimer. We're not telling you not to do drugs, but we're not telling you to go do drugs.
Don't listen to us, is what he's trying to
But
say. Just don't.
yeah,
Don't.
But like so many different native ceremonies, that utilize ayahuasca, which is starting to come around in a controlled way in certain parts of the world now, where people are having these very spiritual, out of body type experiences when utilizing ayahuasca. Another thing that sometimes the first trips apparently don't go well. I've never tried it, but there's
Mhm.
maybe even a lot of loose defecation as a side effect, so that's never good. But some people are claiming to have really spiritual experiences using ayahuasca, LSD, mushrooms, those kind of things. I work in the medical field. Ketamine, which we utilize a lot in sedation, it's also utilized a lot in veterinary medicine as one of the sedatives before they put some
It's also
animals there.
used on Dexter.
I haven't seen Dexter, but I'm going to take your word for it.
He sticks
But
people with
in
ketamine and then he
the
dismembers them.
God, that's
Yeah,
awful.
but it's bad guys.
I don't like.
He dismembers
I
like
work
other
in
serial
surgery.
killers and stuff. It's fine.
I work in surgery all day, but I don't like bloody shows and bloody movies and that kind of stuff. I can deal with it all day. Like in the morning, I'm like, there's blood all over my hands from like 8 a.m. till noon, and then I wash up and get cheese. But until then, I don't want to watch it on movies and stuff. But
Dexter's good though.
ketamine has also been credited with creating a near death like experience for a lot of people. Now, ketamine can be overdosed on easily as well because it will cause respiratory suppression at a higher dose, which can lead you to a true near death experience. But I want to say it was like in the 60s, psychiatrists were utilizing this and they thought it was a gateway to the afterlife. And so it does make a question of, can you use some of these type of substances to access the spirit world and to access the transcend to another life. um but this one fellow, he was utilizing a substance. I wrote it down because I forget things. He wrote down, oh yes, Danny Goller, and he was using a diffracted laser and a substance called DMT, which you have to smoke and it gets you into this altered state. And putting out his diffracted laser, they said he would look at, not not at the laser itself, but like an old magic eye puzzle. You try to look through the laser, and people were noticing, not just him. It's been done over 180 different times with different people, noticing this code written in the laser. And they said sometimes it looks like Japanese characters or numbers. And they said it doesn't seem to be randomly generated. It seems to be some type of code, as if utilizing whatever this substance is and looking through this laser, you're seeing beyond what puts this all together. It's like real life matrix stuff. It's very interesting.
Well, I still like the other one that you sent me that Steve had brought up in Ohio. Forget what it's
Well, that's right.
called.
Which was, and this was weird too, because Chris and I were talking about this driving in from the airport the night before. Um, and then when we're standing there doing the meet and greet thing at Ohio State Reformatory last weekend, Steve brings up observation theory, and observation theory is something that's been proven in quantum mechanics, where they fire out photons, and photons, when they're not observed, if we're not watching them through the equipment they use to visualize the photons, they move in like a wave-like pattern. But if they're actually looking at them, or if they're being recorded, then they behave more like an actual particle. And they do this thing called the double slit experiment, where they shoot these photons toward these two slits on the wall, and when no one's watching and they're not recording, they can tell they move in a wave-like uh, manner. But then when they are looking at them and they look at the recording, they see that all of a sudden, when they're being observed, they go into spotty manner and they're smashing all over the place. So, like, how is it that us just visualizing something is affecting something as tiny as these little particles that we can't even really see?
You know what's kind of weird is it makes me think of the whole old saying of like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, will it still make a sound? It kind of makes me think of that. Just because
Hmm.
like it doesn't make sense how or why it would change its behavior whether we were looking at it or not. You would assume the same outcome whether we're there or not to witness it.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's very strange. The whole
It's
near death
strange.
experience thing to me is interesting too, because
Yeah.
despite people's religious beliefs or non religious beliefs, despite various religious beliefs across the world, excuse me, but a lot of the NDEs are very much similar. And there are some people that have kind of have like sense of nothingness or just darkness. I actually know somebody who had that like darker experience, but the majority of them are all, and I know people try to make it a case for heaven and hell or whatever. I think a loving God or goddess would never just make you. I don't know. I'm not into punishment. I'm not into S&M. I'm not into punishment. These are things I stand by. But but the idea that there's so many ideas of this feeling of you're in this real world now, like you leave this world and you're in this real world, and that there's love and there's acceptance and forgiveness. Like I don't know. Hopefully there's cheese too, because that seems to be something that brings about those types of feelings
Jeez.
for people.
Now I
Somebody
want
mentioned
mozzarella
that the
sticks.
yeah, you can't have them. I ate them. Somebody mentioned that the Magic Eye posters never worked for them either. I bought one
I
at
used to love them.
The Spencer gift store at the mall when I was in high school, and it was supposedly a lady in the shower. I stared at that thing till my eyes were sore. I never saw a lady in the shower.
I
It
was
was
gonna say,
just
of
a
course
bunch
you
of
picked that
squiggly
one.
lines. Of course, I'm a big fan of the female form. Nothing wrong with that.
Jeez.
I was a
Those things
teenage
always worked
boy.
for me, but I never saw one like that.
Maybe the whole thing was a ruse. Maybe there was no actual image there.
I could see making something like that just to screw with people. So yeah, it's totally possible.
Idea I had today. I was talking to Linda, my manager Linda, about. I'm going to write
Yeah.
myself a new book, a true Dustin Perry choose your own adventure book. It will have a
Okay.
cover, a back cover, fully designed. The rest of the shit's empty. You write it yourself.
Oh, okay.
You can choose your own adventure.
I used to love those books when I was a kid.
So good.
Loved
Always
them.
skipped ahead. Wanted to have that best ending.
Yeah,
You
and they
know.
always had a haunted house one. I used to love the haunted house
Yeah.
one, and there was another one that I used to love too. I forget which one it was.
The Arrow and the Troll book forms would come out, and around the holidays, that was as good as it got. I used to remember having one about pirates that I liked. I had the haunted house one. Those are some good things. I
Yeah, those
enjoyed
were
all
good
that.
books.
Indeed.
Those are good ones. Do we
Good
miss any
times.
questions?
Yeah, I think we missed a ton of stuff. There's a lot of stuff moving along. Thank you all for joining us here, by the way. Much appreciated.
We've got Sittler asking, because you've been on TV, any fun experiences about someone recognizing you from the shows?
Oh God. You can go first, Chris Williams.
God, I've got a few. I think one of well, all right. So I was in my hometown back home in New Hampshire, and I was at the gas station, and I don't know, I was getting something from the gas station, and this girl comes up to me. She's like, "Oh, Chris, how you doing?" La, la, la." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm good. How are you?" And she's like, just talking at me, and I'm feeling so bad. I'm in my hometown, so I'm just thinking, did I know her in high school? No. Did we work together? Did I work with her at McDonald's? Did I work her with, Walmart? I'm like going through all the things, and she's like, "So are you guys filming around here?" And I was like, "Son of a bitch," because I felt like such an asshole. Like I
Yeah.
felt the way she was talking to me was like I definitely knew her. And because I was in my hometown, it just threw me off that much more.
Yeah.
Um, Another time I got spotted in Victoria's Secret just trying to buy underwear. That was embarrassing. Um, Another time I was at the airport, and sometimes I would lie, and I wouldn't admit that I was me, because I'll tell you why after. I'll tell you the story why I started doing that. But I was at
Hmm.
the airport. Most people go to the airport and they're traveling like bums. I'm a travel like a bum, travel like I'm comfortable. I just don't care. So I'm in my leggings. I've got like a long hoodie. I'm just scummy. Anyways, I'm sitting there doing whatever I'm doing. I think I was reading a book, and there was this guy and his wife and his two kids, and his two kids were probably in their teens. And one of them asked me, I think it was the husband. He's like, "Are you Chris Williams?" And I go, "Oh no." And I went back to my book, and I heard him say to his kids, he's like, "She's lying." So I got up and I sat somewhere else. I felt like a jerk. But the reason why I started doing that was because I was flying into Philly for an event at Eastern State. It was their Halloween thing. Sometimes they'd have us come in and sit at the head of the line and sign things, take pictures, and that whole thing. So I stupidly said where I was flying from. I'm like, "Oh, leaving so whatever airport, like headed to Philly." Well, these two guys got to the airport. They figured out which gate I was at. They waited at the gate for me to come out. I don't even know how they ended up at the gate, because they told me that they drove down. So I don't know how they went through security and everything else. They were instantly in my face. Two big guys, two of them towering over me, two of them cornering me. One kept trying to put his arm around me. They're both like saying, "Let's take pictures." I was pissed because it was just like, scared. They
Yeah.
weren't listening. They were much bigger than me. They said that they threw like a bunch of photos in my face to sign, and I scribbled them in a way that it didn't look like I signed them, and I kind of did it on
Yeah.
purpose. Um, and then they kept pushing me for pictures. Again, I was traveling like a complete and utter bum. I'm just like, why is this happening right now? So, anyways, I was trying to say no, and they were like, we drove 10 hours to see you. And I'm thinking, I didn't
I didn't
ask you to
ask
come
you
to the
to.
airport.
Right.
It's creepy. So then
Yeah.
I get to Eastern State the next night for the event, and who's standing in line? These two buttholes
Oh,
are standing in line. It's just like, why did you ambush me in the airport if you were going to see me here? So when they got to me, I was just like, no, nope. So, anyways, those pictures ended up on eBay for $50 a piece. We don't even sell our pictures for $50 a piece. And I can
no,
tell it was
no.
from them because of how I was just like, blah, 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 blah. It was just scribbling my name like a
Yeah.
psycho. But after that, I started lying to people. Unless somebody asked me and I didn't feel like they were going to freak out or be weird or scare me, or I
Yeah.
had other people
That
with me
makes
and I felt
sense.
a little safe. But
Yeah.
that scared the shit out of me.
Rightfully so,
Absolutely.
Chris Williams.
Yeah, it was a little much.
I somebody in here and mentioned smashing the like and subscribe button. That is always appreciated as we're still establishing our presence here on the YouTube.
Mhm.
And
And if you
Carrie,
guys
who
know
is
anybody who are into like paranormal content, if you can send them our link as well, we'd appreciate it. We'll have
yeah,
more here this year, so
Carrie also is one of our patrons. We have a Patreon page for Rebellious Spirits, and she was at our private chat the other night, so she knows this answer that's coming up. She even alluded to it already. And yeah, I've had, and somebody also mentioned they saw me at Seekonk Speedway this past summer. Anytime you see me, come over, say hello. Let's have a beer. Let's have pretzel and watch racing. I like hanging out at the track. Not a problem. Where I
yeah.
don't like people to come over to talk to me. Um,
Oh, I remember.
I was at the YMCA. The year was 2019, and after my workout, I went into the showers, and as I'm there washing down my man parts and my wedding tackle, I hear a gentleman say, "Aren't you Dustin from Ghost Hunters?" And I turn, and there is another man, fully naked and fully wet, with his hand outstretched to shake mine.
No.
This isn't happening. I just looked at him, I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm like, but I'm not going to shake your hand right now because we're kind of busy. And he went back to his novel. I stayed at mine and quickly rinsed off. And then he talked to me when I was getting dressed there. So that was about as awkward as I think I could ever get
Yeah,
until
you
a
win.
couple weeks later. I'm at the deli at the local market, and the naked fan man is the deli guy. So now the man that's
He's a
slicing
fan
my
of me.
bologna, he got a full eye of my man meat. It was very strange. I just want to walk around the
No.
dark and look for ghosts. Like, what's going on?
No. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
You win.
very strange. Bendy's in the house. Hey, Bendy. Hi,
Woo!
Dinah. Dinah's here. Exit one. I like that name. That's fun. Sounds like a horse race. Exit one. I'd bet on that. I always lose, but I'd bet anyway.
I was going
Chris
back to
Williams,
see.
we got to do cheap plug promotion time because we have got like 5 tickets left
Oh
for the
yeah.
Rhodes Hotel. 5 tickets left for the Rhodes Hotel in Indiana. It's Atlanta, Indiana, so don't go to Georgia. Atlanta, Indiana. Chris Williams and I are going to be there in April at the old Rhodes Hotel. It's a small little hotel. It's going to be a small event, really nice. You hang out with us. There's 5 tickets left. Tickets are at my website, dustinperry.com/events. And then also, Chris Williams and I doing another Rebellious Spirits event at My Haunted Manor, the old mansion just on the waterway there in Columbia, Pennsylvania, in July, which was amazing. Our friend Daryl Masterson from Ghost Hunters, the reboot, he's there, and they've been running this ongoing investigation for a long time. And I got to go there last year. He brought me out there. Daryl's a great guy. His crew's are great guys. We had a wonderful time. And so Chris and I are going back out there this year. There's legit ties to the Underground Railroad, unlike so many other places that have fake stories of it. And it was also right there in the corner where the soldiers blew up the bridge that forced the Battle of Gettysburg. So there's a lot of historical things that happened in this area, and it was very active. So I'm looking forward to going check out the haunted manor. Amy's coming. There she is. Amy's going to be there at the old haunted
Yay.
manor. Greg O'Brien's in the house. Greg O'Brien, by the way, Chris Williams, I forget to relay this message. Our friend Greg O'Brien from Fort Mifflin met with
Yes.
Miss Linda today to discuss some business. And I'm not saying an upcoming event, but
Yay!
maybe. But he said to say hello to Miss Chris Williams because everyone loves television's Chris Williams.
Hey, Greg. We're excited.
What is this? What is
That
that?
was hi.
It's like
Those are
creepy
like
fingers.
happy hands.
I'm coming to get you. All right.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Anything out
Um,
west? Cass asked. I don't think I have anything. I've got something in like Midwest. I've got something in Kansas that's going to be announced soon. I am
well,
going to be at the old Malvern Manor I have coming up.
we were talking about possibly trying to do one in Arizona if that location we're talking about happens. Possible.
By the way, just like honestly, so very. Chris and I were talking about this last event. Um, we haven't been on TV in about 3 years,
Yeah.
and the fact that so many people come out to support the events, support us here online, like watch the shows and everything else. Like, we both
Yeah.
work, we both have other jobs and stuff, but we're not living high off the hog because of what we do, but it allows us to continue to do what we're passionate about, and we really enjoy it, and so it means a lot that you guys
Yeah.
continue to do that. So thank you for being just friggin' awesome. And
Yeah.
I
We
try to think like
appreciate it.
who I support like that. I think for me it's wrestling. Like I love wrestling. So I watch all the
Yeah.
wrestling shows. I follow their social media. I try to go to meet and greet events and stuff. It's good to like help support things that you like because if you don't, they go away.
Yeah. I'm like that with YouTubers. There's a lot of art YouTubers that I really enjoy.
Hmm.
So I'll usually watch their stuff, and if they come out with like a product, like not to be weird, but one of the girls that I
Yeah.
watch all the time, Chloe, she just put a book out, so I grabbed that. There's another one too that did something recently.
Oh, that girl on Instagram. You always send me the videos. The Spanish girl that's always shaking her butt cheeks.
I do
You
not
you
send you
support
that.
her.
I
I see
don't
it on my
send you
feed. I don't
that.
know. I'm
Yeah,
not
no, that
sure.
was not me. Thank you very much.
It's in our conversations. That's all I'm
Yeah, it's in
saying.
our conversations, but not because I'm the one sending them. Thank you very much.
I'm an angel.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Dear Lord.
Uh huh.
But yeah, so we've got those things coming up. So hopefully, if any of you are in the area, happy to see you there. We'll be doing some
Yeah,
things.
it'll be good. It'll be
Virginia
good. And
Beach.
we,
Never
huh?
gone to Virginia. Virginia Beach. Have you ever done anything in Virginia Beach? The Cavalier
No,
Haunted Hotel. I've never been
no.
there. That sounds fun.
Do you know what I'd like to do again though? Is St. Augustine. I haven't been.
I would love to go back. The problem is St. Augustine, the lighthouse charges way too much money to hold an event to the point that you'd have to charge astronomical prices. And like things are just eggs are super expensive right now. Like you can't
Expensive.
when Chris and I put together our own events, like we try to keep it like bare bones. Like, yeah, obviously we need to make something to come out and do it. Like, I know a lot of people
Yeah.
don't like to talk about the business end of it, but like, listen, we're not running a charity. We both do
A
events for
lot goes
charities
into it.
every year. Yeah, I don't mind going out and do a charity event, but when we put on our own, you got to make something, and like overhead's ridiculous. You got to rent the place, you got to pay for flights. Like, there's a lot of fees. But
Hotels and rental
yeah,
car and
but we
yeah,
try to keep it. We try to keep all our ticket prices like low enough where it's still affordable for people to come and hang out with us. And I like to think that you get a lot for what we do. I mean, it's kind of like this, but for like
yeah,
5 hours and ghosts maybe.
and an
So we'll
awesome location. It's like the
yeah,
location's a big part
the
of the
history.
cost usually.
Walking around
Um,
Ohio State Reformatory just a couple
oh,
weekends ago was so awesome. I
so
love it.
cool,
It's
so
really one of
cool.
my favorites. It's
Have
very
you
good.
like have you ever been to a place where it was it had such a big buildup around it, but then you get there and it was like, oh, it was kind of a dud for you. And it might not be a dud for somebody else. Like
Mm,
paranormal doesn't happen on, command,
yeah,
and
on
it doesn't
cue.
happen
Yeah.
every time you go to a place. But some place that everybody talked about, everybody built up, and then you went there and it was just like dead. No pun
You know my
intended.
biggest disappointment because you were there. It wasn't because of
Oh,
you, but
is it the same
Bobby
one?
Mackey's.
I'm thinking,
Bobby
yes.
Mackey's was, yeah.
Dud.
And it could have just been a really bad night for it. I know now it's, not what it used to be anyway, but I had high hopes for the place. I'm like, this is people were sending me, like warnings about going there. Like, get your sage and your holy water. I'm like, it's
Ah,
just an old bar. And then when we got
yeah,
there, like nothing happened all night. Like my Flux 2 light sensor, one side went off once and nothing could be replicated. The
yeah.
entire night, I was just like, nah, it just didn't work.
No, I
It
feel
just
like I
didn't work.
saw that on Unsolved Mysteries when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
I feel like it
I
was
don't
on there.
I don't remember. I used to watch
There
a lot
was
of stuff. My problem is my brain doesn't remember anything, but I've seen a lot of things.
there was that. I swear it was Bobby Mackey's, and then there was a Toys R Us that was known to be haunted, and there was also a place in Nashua, New Hampshire
Uh-huh.
that was next to my hometown, and they knocked it down. It was an old house. It was like 1800s. I forget what year, but there's this whole story about how a sea captain owned it, and he lived there with his wife, and he went away on a trip and came back, and she was pregnant. So when the baby was born, I think he threw the baby in a well supposedly, and he threw her down there too. And the place was known to be haunted, and it was on Unsolved Mysteries. And there was this whole
Hmm.
story about how people would sit at the bar, especially guys, and they'd feel like somebody was blowing on the back of their neck, and weird things would happen with the TV and all that stuff. But I was shocked to see that leveled. It sucked.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to see that. And that's
Couple of
actually another
things,
reason
Chris.
why we like doing events too, is because it draws attention to these old places
Hmm.
that sometimes get forgotten, and it also helps keep them going as well. So,
Yeah, it preserves a lot of history and stuff.
yeah,
A couple of things. One, I would love to do a haunted toy store. Like, why has that never been an option?
I
That sounds
know.
amazing. Two, there's a serious lack of sea captains these days. Like, I think that would be a fun career. Sea captain, but I don't want to be like some cargo ship guy. Like I want to be having like adventures and singing
I want to
jaunty
be a
little
pirate.
sea shanty songs. And yeah, like I want to be the guy making the map, the cartographer showing where like the giant squid is and the kraken. I want to be drawing those things
Not the
in.
Kraken.
No, you gotta look out for the kraken. There seems to be a couple of people that say Bobby Mackey's. Benji says it twice. Seemed to be a miss too when they went there. It was a dud. Several people say it was a dud.
I
Eastern
feel
State
like
Penitentiary for Amy, huh? That place was pretty hot when I was there. That'd be freaking. I'm sorry, laughing donkey. Sea captain. Are they blind?
oh no.
You have to read it. It's a textual joke, but it was wonderful. Bendy Paranormal dropping in a little jaws. You're going to need a bigger boat. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody asked if we've been to Waverly. We have been to Waverly. We've had some of
Oh,
our craziest times at Waverly
I
Sanatorium.
love Waverly.
So
Yeah, I love
awesome.
Waverly. I'd
It's a
like to get
great.
back there too, actually. Are you both going to be at Penhurst Paracon this year? I will be.
I won't be. I'll be over at Parapsychon. They do it on the same weekend, so she'll
Yeah.
be at one place. I'll be at the other. I'll be at Parapsychon over at Mansfield
They can't handle
Reformatory.
us both in the same place. I think that's what the
Yeah, we
problem.
almost burned the damn place down 2 weekends ago. So Chris will be at Penhurst though.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a sea captain and drink rum? Yes, that's always the plan.
Um,
Absolutely. There's certain things like so like talking about like we talked a little bit about near death experiences, but like there's certain times like I wonder about previous lives. And like, I hope this is my last one. If I get a choice, I'm done, man.
I don't
I'm
want to go
tired.
back. One time
I
around is
just,
enough for me. I'm
if I could go
Yeah,
back
no.
to the '80s, I would do that. I saw a
I know.
video today on Instagram, a reel of Kmart in the '80s, and I almost cried. I wanted to be there so bad. Kmart is garbage. But I wanted to be there so bad. The food court, those red, white, and blue ponies that you could ride outside for a nickel, and you had to beg your parents, and the little crank machines to get the toys, the blue light special. I was like, man, I never realized how much I loved Kmart. Oh, here it is. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is not some fancy Native American piece of jewelry. No, 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 because I'm the native, I would know. This is Chris Williams in her 1980s fashion finest. She's going to
Ugh.
put on a little fashion show for you, complete with Cabbage Patch doll, ass signed by Xavier Roberts. Don't ask me why I know that. Tell us about these items. Oh, no, we're going to get censored now.
Well,
That's
I did
nothing
say
like
it
that
wasn't
Latin
made for
girl you send
kids.
me either. The Latin girl looks better than that.
Send you Justin.
Yeah.
Rita. Serena. God.
Tell us about
She's
that necklace.
Oh, so the necklace. Let's see if anybody else remembers these things. So when I was a kid, you'd get I feel like you'd get the neck just the chain separately. Because I remember having a few chains, and then you'd collect all the little charms. And I had a gazillion of these things, and they got thrown out. I don't know what happened to them over the years. They kind of get buried. Your mom chucks them when you're not looking. So, anyways, I stumbled across this on eBay, and I had to have it. And then I went on a search on eBay for like ones that I knew for sure I had, like this ugly dolphin comb, which I mean, I don't know why. I don't know. But then there's another one. I remember the baby bottle. This one I bought separately because I remember it with. It makes me think the this is your brain. This is your brain on
Is your brain
drugs.
on drugs?
So I have that one. What else? I think I got the tennis racket separate, and there's another one that I got. But these freaking little things are expensive now. I got the whole necklace, and I'm embarrassed to even say this. Don't judge me. It was like $70. And then the little
That's
charms. But
wow.
this was like with most the charms. But if you bought a
Yeah.
single charm, it was like 5 to $15 or $20. I'm like, that's stupid. I caved. I don't buy stuff very often, but I
There's a
caved
lot
on
of
that one.
there's a lot of people online that are saying they used to have that too.
Yeah,
Indeed,
they
Amy,
make me
Nat Joy.
happy.
Yeah,
And
indeed.
Garbage Pail Kids. I had a
Mm-hmm.
shit ton of those. And then
Yeah.
my little lady here, my grandmother bought her out of the back of somebody's car right before Christmas. So
Oh,
the girl worked at Toys R Us, and she was able to get her hands on four of them. And I don't know how my grandmother knew her, but she bought one off her. So
yeah.
I ended up with her after she got bought out the back of a car, and then I left her at a restaurant, and luckily I got her back. But she is
Nice.
missing a shoe, so
The shoe's still at the restaurant.
probably. And I think these are the original pants, but I don't think the shirt came with there originally. I don't know,
Mm.
but yeah,
Mike says that his mom gave away his original Generation One Transformers. Mine did the same, as well as my He-Man figures, which I wish I still had.
yeah.
Nat Joy, I still have a box of Garbage Pail Kids too. I have an unopened, I think it was Series 3 box. It's still in the closet at my parents' house,
You're
sitting there unopened. So it's
stupid
kind of
money
cool.
right now.
I know. Why am I
The
doing
Adam,
this? I should just be selling my Garbage Pail cards.
I
I
had
can't part with them.
yeah, I had that conversation this week with somebody, and we're
Yep.
talking about it because the atom bomb cards that I had like
Yeah.
20 of, and I hated them because I kept getting them over and over again. They're
Yeah.
selling now for like 5 grand for one
It's
stupid
crazy.
card, and I had a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
And he sent me a GI Joe thing, and they were trying to sell it, I think, for like 100. No, it was like 50 grand. I'm just like,
That's insane.
I wish I kept all my toys.
Yeah. Actually, one mentions the Star Wars toys too. Those were huge. That's crazy. Muscle Men. My God, yes. I used to keep them in this little plastic pail I had. I used to love them. They were all like weird flesh tone, but all the different shapes. I used to have all these crazy wrestling matches. The Muscle Man ring. It was amazing.
Hmm.
Getting back to what we were talking about with past lives, Brett had mentioned
Oh yeah.
the idea that the idea that we live this life, we go to the spirit realm, we wait a little while, we come back. That is a very popular theory, and it seems sometimes people say we even choose to come back, and then we forget where we were before this. And sometimes other people say we have to come back if we need to learn more lessons or whatever. But it's just weird. Sometimes I have these little flashes of like, and I've had like some people do some past life regression on me. Two of them were very interesting, but sometimes I'll just have flashes of stuff that like seems so damn real in my head, and I'm like, why do I keep having these recurring ideas that they don't tie to this life at all? It's just very strange.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes we have those little moments, and I'm like, but even in this life, like I mentioned the other day at Ohio State, like I really feel like we haunt ourselves in this life. Like we go back to our childhood roots. Like like just now, like you spent $70 on a plastic charm necklace because you want to be tied back to the little Chris Williams. And
Yeah,
I
it's hanging from my desk, my art desk, and it just makes me happy.
Yeah. It's we go back to those places from when we were kids. I drove by the place I used to ride my bike when I was a kid. We used to call it Dead Man's Hill. It was so steep and it was crazy. And I drove by it like this I wouldn't even classify this as a hill. Like, did they level it? Like, what happened? But like when you're a little kid, the perspective is different, and everything was
Yeah.
just magical and full of hope.
Yep. Yep. So, how do you feel about like dreams? Because I've got a couple weird stories.
You love dreams. I love dreams as well. Just quick shout out to Millie Maple. Thank you for saying that you enjoyed Ghost Hunters International, and
We
also
also have a
having the
newbie
name.
in here too.
Oh, we have a newbie. I think we had a couple
Yeah.
tonight, which is
Is it
fantastic. Uh,
Breolyn or last name's Murray?
Braylon Murray in the house. Welcome.
Braylon?
Yeah, indeed. We got a couple of new people tonight. We appreciate it very much. We had a good little show tonight. But I'm sorry. So yes, dreams. Chris Williams, talk to us about your dreams.
Weird ones. A lot of them were family related, but I don't know. Did I ever tell you the one with Barry?
No, you've told me the family ones before, but never anything
Okay.
about Barry.
This
Barry
one was weird.
Fitzgerald.
Okay, so um laughing donkey, you're full of it.
Yeah, nonsense.
Nonsense. All right. So I was on GHI, but we're on a break. So Barry's over in Ireland, I'm home in New Hampshire, and I had this dream. Um okay, so before I jump into the dream, there was an actual conversation that I had with Barry. We're flying somewhere. He's talking like Barry was always into like the darker cases and like trying to figure out that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It was stuff he was doing on his own, like had nothing to do with the show. So, anyways, he said he was working with this family where this kid was having all these problems, and when he was sleeping or whatever, and he suggested the parents have this child sleep on his stomach. Something about like, whatever is haunting him is using his core energy. Like all of it didn't. You know how I am with stuff that's like that. I'm just like, okay, this sounds bonkers to me, but I love Barry and I trust Barry, so I was like opening to listening to what he was talking about. So, anyways, just keep that in your head because it does play into this. Feeding off core energy, stomach, sleeping on your stomach. So, anyways, I was having a dream. I was in New Hampshire. I was in a house, and the like that poltergeisty thing. So there was some light in the room, but not a lot. And I could see people moving around me. But in the dream, I just assumed I was on an investigation, right? So it was probably my other teammates. And then in the dream, I turn around, and Barry's going through all these closets and all these shelves and drawers and everything. And I turn around and I look at him, and then I turn back to the TV and I up in a room in this house. Sometimes we would stay over at an actual location. So in the dream, that's what I'm figuring is happening. So I'm lying in this bed. It's dark in the room. I can totally make out all the details. I have on the left there was a door to the hall. Down the end there was you could just barely make out windows. There was like this big cabinet to the left next to the door. And in the dream I felt like something was watching me. And I rolled over. I remembered what Barry said, like for real, about something feeding off your core. And for some reason in the dream, I rolled over to my stomach. And then immediately something was like trying to roll me over in the stream. And I'm
Mm.
like freaking out and screaming, Barry, but like no sound was coming out. So then I wake up in my room in New Hampshire and I'm kind of freaked out because it felt very real. And it was kind of mixing real life with dream life, like whatever was going on there.
Yeah.
So like a minute later, it was very close. My phone dings and it is Barry. He sent me an email and he's like, "Hey,
Mm.
Miss Williams, just checking in to see how you're doing. I woke up to hearing what sounded like someone was yelling my name. How have you been?" And I'm like, "Call me right now." So he
Right.
calls me, yeah, and I'm just like, I told him the whole thing, and I was just like, "What? What was that? What the hell was that?"
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to make of it.
So
What
this is the first time you've told me this Barry dream experience,
I thought I told you
and
this.
no, you haven't told me this. And there's a lot of love for Barry in the chat room, which is well deserved because Barry is amazing.
He's
As though he
awesome.
just he just signed. He's going to be appearing at a big UK paranormal festival, so I'm glad he's going to be doing that. And also, I believe just before I miss my opportunity here, I got to scroll back for a second. I think it was Dave. Yeah, Dave from Eloise. I think if Dave, I think you might have been the same gentleman that was just with us at OSR. I don't know if you ever talked to Linda, but I wanted to follow up on Eloise So if you could, website is just dustinperry.com. You can just send me an email in the contact form because I wanted to follow up on that. Um, so we are in the old Czech Republic on GHI, and they usually put us in just kind of dive hotels. Like they weren't horrible. Once in a while you get a winner, but
Oh
most of
yeah.
the time, once in a while they were not the best.
No.
But not complaining. I'm traveling the world,
Yeah.
getting paid a decent amount. I can pay
Yeah.
my bills, and I'm living my dream. I'm walking around haunted castles.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're on the road for 6 to 8 weeks at a time. The hotel is your home, and you're changing hotels every 2 weeks. And when you get a clunker, it's a rough 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is.
And sometimes there's no TV. Sometimes there's no AC. Other times there's no
Sometimes you
heat.
have a bunch of ants in your room and they're biting your feet while you're trying to sleep. That's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fun.
Scorpions down in New
Oh,
Zealand. That was
yes.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're over there in the old Czech Republic, and the hotel was just so hot, and it was on the riverbank. And at night, I went to the front desk and I said, "Do you have any like portable air conditioning units or anything? Because I just can't sleep. It's so hot." And the guys gives me this like they have this really slow oscillating fan. And he said, "We can open the windows. It'll be cooler because of the river." So I'm half asleep. I open the stupid window. I get the stupid fan on, and I'm laying there exhausted. I'm filming all night, and I wake up, and it looked like something out of a horror movie. It was a very nondescript, plain walled hotel room. Everything's just white. And as I roll over and look in my squinty morning eyes, there's just bugs. As many bugs as I could ever see on one wall. I couldn't count them all. And they were
No.
all just there because there was no screens in the damn windows. So all the bugs came in from the river at night into the damn room. So now I wake up in this, and so I called production and I said, "Listen, I'm not like a bougie boy. I don't need anything fancy. You haven't heard me complain in 2 years out here. I can't sleep in this hotel." And they said, "There's nothing else that's available." They did look around for us. And I said, "Well, can you give me a budget and I could try to find something?" And I did. I found this place, the Paistani Hotel. And it looked like, if you remember the movie Cocoon, there was like all these like abandoned crutches and all these things there. There's all these old people having breakfast, and it was said to be built on these healing springs, and they did all this reiki and all these things there to
Mm.
help heal people. And they didn't have enough rooms for everybody. So
Yeah.
production was happy enough where they were. The rest of us from the cast went over to this other hotel. And I'm excited. I've got air conditioning. This is great. We go film, come back to the hotel. I go to sleep. And previously in life and throughout my life, I've been plagued by kidney stones, and I've tried every homeopathic remedy. I've eliminated all the different things from my diet. It's just a family tradition. Some people get like handed down, money and land. I get kidney stones. And when I had kidney stones very early on, I used to get them sometimes 4 or 5 times a year, and they would just like pill pop you with opioids to deal with the pain because it is very substantial. But I noticed when I would take them, sometimes I would get sleep paralysis. Now, this is narcotic induced sleep paralysis. So
Yeah.
this is the hypnagogic effect. The brain is in an altered state, like we are talking about before. And so when the brain wakes up, it's sending the signal to unparalyze the body so that you can move around and wake up. But it's not being sent. It's not getting all the way through your body. So your brain wakes up, but your body's not awake. So
Yeah.
I'm familiar with sleep paralysis. I wake up in this place, and like the TV's on, but it's in English. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And then suddenly I like visualize this silver looking being on top of me, holding me down, thrashing its head around, no face or anything.
Yeah.
And it's like
No.
this
Thanks.
silverish
No.
gray, and it's like this growling sound. And I'm like saying my prayers, I'm trying to do everything I can. And I get a name from the damn thing. And I just start screaming for Barry because Barry's our go to guy in these kind of situations.
Yeah.
I
He's into the
like
weird
wake
shit
up.
like Zaphis.
Yeah, weird,
Yeah.
weird, dark stuff. So
Yeah.
finally, I get up. I'm fine. I walk out of my room. I go to Barry's room, and he's like awake. I'm like, Barry, I'm like, this shit just happened in my room. Ah, I knew something was wrong, Mr. P. He comes in there. He's got like salt. He's got sage. He's got all these things. He does all this stuff. And he had told me the same thing. He's like, lay down on your stomach. You got to protect your core energy. And I'm like, so when you just said that, I was like, holy shit, that's
Yeah.
insane.
And it was so weird for it to pop into the dream like that, and, like, I was talking to Zaphis about it, and he was just, like, talking about some of the stuff Barry's into, and he was, like, almost wondering if not that he was doing it, but, like, I don't know, I can't remember how he described it, but I was just like, "How do people link up like that? Like, how is it that I'm screaming in a dream, no sound is coming out, but he's over
Right.
in Ireland waking up to hearing a female yelling for him?"
Yeah.
It was
Somehow there's this connection, like I know, like again, I'm part Native American, but like I'm mostly like Italian, a little bit of Portuguese, a little bit of English. But I've always been fascinated with the Native American belief system, and a
yeah,
lot of like in Northern Cherokee, which I am, like there's a lot of talk about the importance of the dream state, and like sometimes our elders, our loved ones will come to us in that part of when you're just going into the dream or just coming out of dreams,
yeah,
and it ties in so much with so many stories we hear of people that visit, or they believe their dead have visited them, sitting at the corner of the bed or standing near them in the bed just when they're waking up, just when they're going to sleep. And I think there's something to be said to it, because I feel like in those moments, the world is a little bit quieter for us. We're not distracted by so many things, and maybe we're more aware of spirit in that time. But somehow
maybe.
within spiritual realm too, like when we sleep, there seems to be a connection. The day that I've told the story, I don't know if it was on this before, but um, my grandfather, when I was a kid, was one of my heroes. Like I loved like being around him, hearing his stories. He was a nice, great guy, provided for his family, and he was sick for a while. And my mom would often go to the hospital to stay with him. And one morning, I had this. I woke up. My dad was home. Mom wasn't there. And I told my dad I had this dream that Papa came to me at night and he walked me out of this bedroom. We walked all the way to his house, and he told me that he loved me and that he's always going to watch over me, but he had to go away now and not to be
Mhm.
afraid. And then he walked me back here. And my dad's face kind of changed and he didn't say much else, but like, um, I had my fifth grade school trip to go to the Newport Mansions that day. And my dad picked me up from school, which was odd because sometimes, he would drive me to school, but mom always picked me up. And then he tells me, he's like, well, we didn't want to tell you, but your grandfather died last night, but mom didn't want to ruin your trip.
Oh,
For me to have that dream on that same night, and then as I get older and got more into this stuff, I found that to be a shared experience amongst a lot of people. So I
yeah,
do think there's some connection. I mean, and also in a related way too, like the connection that we all have. Like my Spirit Quest events, we do a lot of work about energy and vibration and the connection between that and ourselves, like spirits in this body as we go through this life, and
yeah,
also in the other realm. And you hear stories about like parents or very close friends or couples where one of them will be in a car accident. It could be on the other side of the country or the other side of the world, and they know right away something's happened. They feel it, and it's just we are connected, man. I think we are more connected than we ever get credit for anymore. Like people just don't think about it, but I
yeah,
really feel like there's a lot to be said for that. Thank you, Firewalker Arizona, for echoing those sentiments in the Apache thought process as well. And hello to Mark Manzo popped in. Say
yeah.
hello. Thank you very much. Paranormal Pie Man never remembers his dreams because he doesn't sleep. He's up all night eating cheese. That's why. That makes sense.
I
Mm.
do remember two others that were family related. One of them made me think of the one you just told with your grandfather. I'm still shocked I didn't tell you about the Barry one.
Yeah.
Um, One of them, so when I was 4, my great grandmother passed away, and she was the first death that I dealt with. I was weirdly very aware of the fact that meant I'd never see her again. And actually, there was an experience with that too. Oh, good lord. Okay, so the night that she passed, she was on vacation in Newburyport, Massachusetts with my grandparents, and she had a heart attack. So somehow my grandparents got a hold of my aunt and uncle, and my aunt and uncle came over to the house to tell my parents. And my mom said she couldn't remember if it was just she can't remember if it was just before they told her or just after they told them that my great grandma passed. I came downstairs from bed and said, Gram's in my room smiling at me. Why is she saying goodbye? I don't remember this at all, but it
Mhm.
freaked my mom out. So she made my dad and my aunt put me back to get bed because it was their grandmother and she didn't want to deal with it. So many years later, my great grandmother had left her house to my dad. Very, very rundown house. Like water wasn't running really when we were there. We were little kids were bathing in these big black tubs in the backyard with a garden hose until dad could get the water fixed, like holes in the wall. It was an old, old place. They
Yeah.
moved there when it was like in 1926, and then my great grandfather kept adding to it. So I love that house more than anything. And it was probably the most rundown one that we'd ever lived in, but dad did a lot of work to it. Anyways, we first moved in. I was terrified of this house. And I was in old enough for the first grade when we moved in. And I knew my great grandfather had died in the house. I knew my great uncle died in the house, and I knew it was the last house my great grandmother lived in before she passed. So terrified of this house. So I
Mhm.
had this one dream where I woke up and everything, or like I was in my bed and everything around me was white. And I sat up and I looked over the end of my bed and it turned into the kitchen the way it was when she lived there. And she was in her rocking chair, rocking and knitting like she always did when I went to see her when I was little. So I went over and she had me in her lap. And even as a baby, I vaguely remember being in her lap and she'd like crochet around me. So I'm sitting in her lap in the dream. She's crocheting around me. And she's like, yes, people have died here, but they're family. They love you. As long as you live here, you've got nothing to worry about. Nothing will hurt you in this house. We're all looking out for you. So I woke up and I was like, what, 6 or 7? And I was just like in this weird little like high state of like, oh, it's like I felt like I actually talked to her. So I went and I told my mom, and my mom's got like one eye open, like she's barely awake. And I told her, and again, she was freaked out because because of what happened when I was younger, which I didn't even know that happened with her until I was working on Ghost Hunters. They figured I remembered what happened when she passed. I didn't. And then the other one I remember telling you about, I was living in Australia.
Yeah.
I was with my ex-husband. We hadn't married yet. The wheels were already falling off the bus. It was a bad situation. And I had this dream where I was at my house in New Hampshire with my parents, and my dad had just left for work, and right on the banister we'd leave our mail. So I saw that there was letters that needed to go out, but the stamp on it was an American flag, and it was just so colorful and so vibrant. It was like the colors were really jumping off the letters. So I grabbed the mail and ran out to ask dad if he wanted me to put it in the mailbox, but then dad was gone. And then there was this guy walking up the street, redheaded guy, probably in his 20s. And I'm just watching him. He's like calmly walking up the street. Then he calmly walks up the driveway, walks up the steps, standing in front of me. And then I realized it was my grandfather, but around his war days, like age wise.
Mhm.
And he just was smiling at me. And then I remember freaking out, hyperventilating in the dream, crying, like just dropping, like fetal position. And in the dream, I could feel somebody like playing with my hair. It was a woman, and she said she can't handle a visit right now. And I woke up. And I remember calling you the
Wow.
next day because I was like
That's
freaked out by it.
yeah.
But very weird.
Yeah.
Very, very weird. I
I
don't
forget the end of it until you said it. I was like, oh, I remember that. Yeah. Oh,
Dreams
that's
are
cool.
just I mean, is it our brains completely pulling the shit out of nowhere? I mean, sometimes I feel like some of the
Some
things
of
you
it's just
come
like a
up with are just
rehash. Yeah, I feel like some of it's like a rehash of the day. There's like random elements I can pick out. I'm like, okay, this was because of this, that was because of that. But then there's
yeah,
those other ones where it's like a transcendental freaking experience. Like, what just
yeah,
happened? You know?
yeah.
And it's very, very strange. I don't know.
And I've had them a few times.
Yeah.
So it's just like I don't have them enough to be like, oh, it's nothing. But I've had them enough, and it's always when big things are happening or big changes are happening, or
Yeah. I don't know.
very
I
strange.
always like I always look for signs and guidance and dreams and life and stuff. I'm one of those old hippies, that's just kind of what I do. But it's interesting. Exit one
Yeah,
wrote the brain is an antenna. Like I really feel like that's the only part of our body that's real. Like I feel like
yeah,
that's the only thing that's really connected to anything that's of any substance or anything that matters. The rest of
yeah.
this is just some like weird little meat puppet that we're walking around doing shit with and shoving cheese in it.
Not the meat
That's what we got.
puppets.
The meat puppet people. This is wonderful. My God. Mark
So
Manzo,
odd.
hello to you as well. Thanks for joining us. Um, we're going to get ready to wrap up soon, but Jennifer, thank you for joining us as well. Jay Iverson mentioned about deja vu. I've always been intrigued by deja vu.
Yeah.
And I know they try to explain it like it's just like a synapse jump or whatever, where like you're perceiving your reality at like a slightly different way than you're actually processing it. I honestly don't believe the scientific explanation for it because I don't think science can explain everything. I don't think it should explain everything, and I think sometimes they think they explain shit. Then years later, we change it. For a while, and maybe even in the future, the idea of flat Earth was the scientific thing, and then it wasn't anymore, and now maybe it is again. Who the hell knows? But I like the fact that we don't know. The other thing I like is Jame's food, which is where something that should be familiar to you isn't. You go to a
What
place
is
that
it
you've been a
called?
million times. Jame's food,
Oh.
Jamasvu. So
Isn't
it's
that
like
just known as like dementia?
that's horrible, Chris Williams. Atone for your sins.
Things that are
But yeah,
supposed to
that
be familiar that aren't?
it is. It is kind of like that. But I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
sorry, I'll
hard
be
for us
nice.
too. Like as investigators, I love when people are like, remember when you went to this castle? I'm like, it was dark, it was cold.
I
Like
know.
there's very like few
I
things that
know.
I remember architecturally or even story wise about some of these things, you know. So
Yeah.
yes, Laughing Donkey and Meat Puppets were a band too. Fantastic. I love it. Lewis is here. Hey, my buddy Lewis. Louis, I hope I can see you, buddy. I'm gonna come out your way again soon, man. Hope you're doing well. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. Carrie mentions about how she dreams about being in her high school when her mom used to work there. Yeah, I like I mean, for me, I just don't discredit it. I don't discredit people's um, connection with loved ones during dream time. I find it too. I get these weird, what I call my alternative dreamscape, where like there's this casino that's by the river, and my house where I grew up was my house, but it's not where it was. But it's consistent from dream to dream when I'm in this other reality. Sometimes I've never been in
Yes.
this casino by the river, but it's the same every time I'm in that casino by the river, and
Yeah.
like my. I don't understand why things are where they are, but they're there when I'm in dreamland, even though it doesn't match up with reality.
Well, I know when I was a kid, I kept having this like reoccurring dream. The situation would change from time to time, but the place would always end up the same. So like with one of them, I was at the old house that I was talking about earlier. That was my great grandmother's house. So her house and my grandmother's house were right next to each other, but it was on 18 acres of land. And there was this
Mhm.
whole mass of just trees. We'd go get lost all day, right? But in the dream, we hopped on our bikes, we started driving, like riding through the woods, and then all of a sudden we went from color in the dream to black and white. And we ended up in this really deserted town. And in the center of the town was this big old school church. And at the top of the church, there was like this window, and it had the only color in that entire town was the curtain in the window. It was red. It was just kind of like flowing in the freaking window. Every
Yeah.
time I'd end up in the same damn place. The next time we ended up there and my parents pulled up in their van and we're trying to get them to stop. We're like, "Oh, you guys found us." And they're like, "Who are you? We don't know you." Like they didn't have any idea who we were, and we're trying to convince them that we were their kids. Like it was just so strange. But that damn town kept popping up and it was always like color to black and white every time.
Mm.
It was so
It's
weird.
interesting. I love that kind of stuff. So that's very cool. We had a
Yeah.
couple of people mentioning Missouri Paracon coming up. My buddy Dwayne's going to be there.
Woo!
Louis might be there. And yes, it is in a casino down by the river, so that's fantastic.
There we go.
Patty B has recurring dreams where killer whales talk to her and she understands them. That sounds awesome.
That's kinda
That's
cool.
very cool. We get some people checking in from Vermont. I saw in there. Brandon Knapp, we talked simulation theory earlier. Maybe you're right. Maybe some people there's simulations in flat Earth world, you know, with the ice wall and everything, which I'm still really intrigued by. I know some people laugh about everything, but I'm like I'm still interested to hear the theories. You know,
In what?
like I love to hear theories, conspiracy theories,
Oh, yeah.
things about like the Great Ice Wall or flat Earth. Like I'm just interested. I'll listen to it. There's no harm in it. You know, it's very
Yeah.
interesting. Somebody also often mentioned in France, in French, as I mentioned, the jamais vu, that it means never. So I guess never been there. Feels like you've never been there.
Hmm.
So Silent Hill, Mike. Oh man, that game was terrifying. That game used to give me nightmares as a kid. Uh, all the little
David
kids and everything. I
Firewalker,
don't
we're
know. There's
in a
something about
giant Truman Show. It does feel like it sometimes.
definitely feels like that for sure. That's why I sign my Twitter on and off every day with my starting my broadcast day and ending my broadcast day.
I
Good
forgot you
morning and
do
good
that.
night. Yeah. Erica, thank you for joining us. We're getting ready to wrap up here for the night. But again, we really appreciate you guys joining us here tonight. Make sure that you, if you would be so kind to like and subscribe to the thing. It doesn't cost you a damn thing to press the buttons, but helps
No.
us here to keep this thing going. And if you're
Mhm.
interested in our Patreon, uh, we can search out Patreon Rebellious Spirits. And Chris and I are going to be at Missouri Paracon at the end of February. And then we've got the Rhodes Hotel event in April in Indiana. We have 5 tickets left for that. And then we're going to be in Pennsylvania at the My Haunted Manor. So we got a
Yeah.
lot going on. So it's okay, Erica. There'll be a replay if you want. And then if there's stuff that bores you, you can click through it. We don't take offense. It's totally, totally cool. Exit one, thank you for subscribing. Excellent.
It's kind of possibly could have had something going on. Um, but then are at the penitentiary or the
Yeah.
reformatory.
I had some good stuff consistently throughout the night. I really liked that place. It was the I was cool. I was excited to go to the attic because I'd never been there, so that was good. Griff, thanks so much for
Yeah.
watching. Yeah, my new little thing on my own YouTube channel here and on social medias. I've been doing my little motivational minutes that my YouTube station has. But I've been singing this little song. It's actually a real song. I don't know if anybody knows this, but Chris, you've seen my videos at night. Everyone starts
Mhm.
with. Coming at you live like I do every night from the heart of the phantom zone. So I changed it. The actual song's called Radio Lover. It's, I think, from the 60s, and it's about an all night DJ who, every night when he's there doing his show, he says that and sings Coming at You Live like I do every night from the heart of your radio. And he sings a little song to his lovely wife at home. And on their anniversary, he pre records the show and shows up to surprise her to find her in bed with another man. And I think it ends with a double murder. And so it's probably not the best, but I like to make that little song at the beginning of my little motivational videos at night. So thank you very much for watching it. I'm glad you like my little silly song. I just make it the
Mhm.
Phantom Zone because I like weird stuff. So I shall
Yes.
stay safe around cheese, laughing donkey. Always good advice.
Oh my goodness.
This is good. Good stuff.
Yeah.
You guys rock. Thank you so much for
It was a
spending
good
time with us.
night.
It
Yeah.
was a good night.
It
Oh, I just
was.
want to throw this in there. We were going to mention this, but we're kind of running out of time here because life. And this is, Chris and I have our own views about things, and we're very open to talk about them. But we never force stuff on anybody, whether that's religious, political, paranormal, or any other damn thing. But
Yeah.
if you really want to go down a weird wormhole, weird little rabbit hole about stuff, go and look up the author Ingersoll Lockwood. There's been some videos going on around about this guy. In 1893, he put out a series of books, The Travels and Adventures of Baron Trump. So Donald Trump's son's name is Baron, so that's kind of odd, right? Sure, but maybe. But it's about a time traveling kid who is named Barron, and his last name is Trump. And his father, his mentor is named Don. And Barron has time traveling adventures because of the guidance of his mentor Don. And then the author writes another book, The Last President. Sometimes it's called The Last President or 1900. He puts that out in 1896, and it talks about a wealthy man who lives on Fifth Avenue in New York, where Trump Tower is, and he wants to run for president, but nobody thinks he'll get it, and he does. And then he puts all this governmental power thing into a whole new world, and it's called The Last President. Just strange stuff. And
And
if you really
it
want
was
to go
written in the 1800s?
in 1893 and 1896, and then if you want to go further down the rabbit hole, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
Name comes up a lot lately. Free energy, big thing. A lot of people trying to make their own energy online and shit.
Yeah.
He was said to have possibly, in his experiments, figured out time travel. And then he gets taken care of. He gets arrested. They confiscate all his stuff, and his trunk went missing. Had a lot of different information in it. Some of the information was brought to John Trump, Donald Trump's father, to look into. So it's just an interesting thing that an author from 1893 would write a book with the name Baron Trump with a mentor of Don. And then he has a follow up book about this rich man who wants to become president living on Fifth Avenue in New York. And then if you look to time traveling and you link it together with John Trump, Don's father, and tie it to Nikola Tesla, it just says the whole damn world is really screwed. And if all you can do is be happy every day and have a little bit of cheese, do that, because none of this shit might be real. That's what I got for you. Chris Williams, it's a
I
big
don't.
rabbit.
Yeah, I don't even know what to do with that. It's weird.
Firewalker, Arizona, mentioning Looper. I love it. I don't think anybody else watched that or knows about it, but I love the idea of it. It's fantastic.
What is that?
Oh, it's how you have to correct the other stray timelines and stuff. But there's
Oh,
some that
okay.
are just screwy and can't do it right. It's great. Oh
So
man,
weird.
yes, and be happy and make art. Yes, Exit One. I like that
Yes.
too.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
I'll show you my thing real quick. Ugh. Hold on.
Chris, it's not that kind of show. Keep it closed on. God
I've got them on.
damn it.
No,
Well, you
I've
said you're
got
going to show us something really quick, and then you stood up. Oh,
my
that looks awesome.
my spooky strawberries.
Yeah.
And then the new one I'm working on is devilish desserts. So I've got
Mm,
like this like crazy sin roll monster guy chasing the poor little gingerbread guy. So I wanted it to be like a baking scene come to life when whoever was baking is out of the room. So yeah, I'm working on that one now.
very cool. It reminds me of the gingerbread men in Krampus. You ever see Krampus? It's amazing.
No,
Oh my god, it's so worth your time. It's like a campy 80s style horror Christmas movie, but it just came out a couple of years ago. I have the
I'll have to give
Krampus
that one
bell
a
around
go.
here somewhere. I don't know where it went, but behind some of this crap.
Thank you, Lewis.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you all for
Yeah.
joining us. Greg O'Brien, I have a good feeling we'll be seeing you soon down at Fort Mifflin. Everybody,
Yay!
please stay tuned to our social media channels. If you're looking for tickets for our events, they're linked at dustinperry.com. And God bless y'all. Whatever God or goddess you may believe in. I'm on Team Jesus, but that's for me. I also go to my fridge at 2 a.m. and eat cheese, which is the theme of the show. Thank you, Paranormal Pie Man, for bringing that into the world. But yeah, no, we really appreciate you guys. Chris Williams, thank you for spending time with me continually. I don't know why you chose to continue to work with me, but I appreciate it.
Because you're one of my favorite people, damn it.
You have very sketchy taste.
Oh, bullshit.
Thank you, love. You guys have a good night. Thank you so much.
Night, guys. We'll bug you again soon.
See you guys.
Bye.